Hello everyone, it's Melanie from Speaking Styles. We are live here on Monday for our live Monday Q&A. And today we are going to be chatting around how to avoid filler words. Was one of the questions that came through to me last week, which I'm going to answer today for everybody. But I'll give it a few seconds and see if who's coming on live. And then we're going to get in, you're going to hear my top 4 tips for avoiding filler words. So I hope everybody's had an amazing Monday, or for the people getting up in the UK are going to have an amazing Monday. Can I ask everybody that you guys can hear me okay? If somebody can give me a thumbs up. Hey Wendy, hey Lauren. Let me know that you can hear me all right. I'm using my webcam today, so I just wanted to check that you guys can hear me. Thanks, Lauren. Great to have you in the group today. So for people coming on that haven't been in the group before, we do this live on Monday afternoon, every Monday. So it comes on at 4 o'clock for Australia time and 7 o'clock in the morning UK time. And basically you can come on with questions just now, or you can send me a message and let me know some questions that you'd like answered. Hey Molly. And I'll be able to do that today. So today, one of the questions that came through was around how to avoid filler words. So I'm going to share with you my 4 top tips on how to avoid filler words. And we all use them. They're very, very common. We use them in everyday conversation. We hear them in movies. And once you start to become more aware of them, like myself, sometimes I can watch movies and things like that, and it actually drives me a little bit nuts just because I can really tune into it. However, it is common. It is something that we do use in conversations. However, when we then move to speaking in front of groups, we're on videos, recording, then we want to be able to really reduce that, because sometimes it's just us filling in gaps when we can just pause instead of just filling in that silence. So I really want to share these 4 top tips with you to be able to use them when you do transfer from everyday conversation when we use them, because I use them all the time. And the types of filler words that we tend to use, and it's not just ums and ahs anymore. We tend to say things like and so and. I use and quite a lot. So we use things like and you know but. So there's lots more filler words than we realize that we're actually using. So it's not just about the ums and ahs, and there me, I've said so's already. Hey everyone, to everyone else joining. So we really have to become more aware of what's the go-to filler words that we tend to use. So I know for me that I use so's and ands a lot. So the more that you become aware of those types of filler words that you use, then you're going to be able to use these 4 tips that I'm going to share with you today. Hey Ellie, hey Fiona. You've joined just in time. We're just about to get into the 4 top tips for avoiding filler words. So I was just letting everybody know that it is really common. We do use it. We hear it in movies. We hear it on the presenters on the radio. So we do hear it a lot. However, we're going to look at reducing that when we move into speaking on camera or speaking to an audience. So these are my 4 top tips for everybody. And I've just got my notes here. So number 1 is we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So as speakers, we have to get really comfortable with silences. Just like I'm doing right now. So we have to get super, super confident with the pauses and the silences, because when we put filler words in, it's because we're feeling uncomfortable and we want to fill the gaps and we want to just continue to keep talking. But this is not going to give your audience, it's not going to do your audience any favors, because they're going to find it really hard to keep up with you if you don't have the pauses and the silences. So top tip number 1 is start to get really comfortable with those pauses. Because when we become more comfortable with it and we progress as we're speaking in front of people, it is so powerful to use silences and pauses. And you can really start to have fun with it as well. So number 1, start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Number 2 is that we have to look at developing new patterns, new habits. So when we use filler words, it is just an absolute habit that we have got into. I'm just going to check who else has joined us. Hey, Rebecca. Lauren uses ums and ahs. Let me know your filler words, guys, who's watching today. Let me know what else you guys, because the more you know what your filler words are, this is going to be really easy to be able to start reducing them. So let me know in the comments what your filler words are. Hey, okay. So if you've just joined, number 1 is get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So number 2 is we have to develop a new pattern. So we know that we're using ums, as, so's, and it becomes a habit, and sometimes we do it without even thinking. So one of the ways that you can start to change that pattern, and it is around recording yourself, which I know some people might go, oh, I hate that, and I hate having to go back and watch myself and listen to myself. But if you record yourself on an audio, or you record yourself on video like this, then you can go back and you can start to see the pattern of when you're actually using those filler words. Because then as you start to become aware, you start to see the pattern happening, you can then look at those things that you can put in and put the silences in and know when you're doing that. So become aware, write them down, know what they are, and this is going to help you with these next 2 top tips that I have for you today. So number 3 is you want to replace the filler words with a pause, with a silence. Because this is going to make you sound more confident as a speaker. When we start using filler words, a lot of the time our audience will then be able to feel that you're possibly nervous, that you possibly haven't prepared very well in advance. So limiting the amount of filler words that we use, and you will feel more confident because you're not using those filler words. Because you're starting to develop that confidence to be able to use pauses. And pauses allow us to breathe, which is really important when we're speaking in front of people, that we actually breathe, because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just want to get all the information out and then we can breathe. But it's really important that we breathe throughout the entire time that we're talking so that you don't end up collapsing. So we want to replace the filler words simply just with silence. So one of my things that I do teach to people is, now when we're reading books, we're reading stories, they have full stops, they have commas, and they have paragraphs. Now this is the same when we're speaking. We're speaking in sentences, we're speaking in paragraphs. So it's about learning to know that at the end of a sentence, there's a comma, there's a paragraph, and this is where you want to use the pauses at the end of each of those. Because this then allows our audience to really digest what we're telling them. Because then what happens is our audience is just one big long blur, because they haven't been able to stop. Because if you've got some really good information for people, they might be writing notes down. And if you're on to the next point and they haven't finished writing that down, that's a valuable piece of information that will then be missed. simply because we're not comfortable with the uncomfortable. So when we flip it onto our audience, that we're there to serve our audience and help them, then this is going to allow you to be more comfortable with those pauses. Lauren, I always forget to breathe. So start using the pauses for an opportunity for you to breathe, because you'll feel so much better. And this actually leads us into my fourth tip, and it is about breathing. It is so super important that you breathe. So using those pauses is an opportunity for you to breathe, and it's an opportunity for your audience to catch up with what you're saying, really take it in what you're saying, and also possibly write it down. So it's just about flipping that mindset and being comfortable and being of service to your audience. Because the more that we're nervous, the more that we are thinking about ourselves and the uncomfortableness and all of the eyes looking at us, which I know it can be really uncomfortable to stand there and have 10, 20 people staring at you. But what we have to remember is they're probably processing what you've said. They're not staring at you as in they're just staring at you going, well, why are you not talking? They're processing the information that you've said. It just looks that way to us because we've just got all these eyes looking at us. But sometimes if we've given them information, you could look away from the audience, catch your breath, and then come back and look back at your audience. It doesn't mean to say that you have to continue to keep making eye contact at everybody. You could stop and take a sip of water as well. So breath and staying hydrated is super, super important, because again, there's nothing worse than listening to a speaker who you know is as if they're chewing cardboard, and you think, I just want to go up there and give them a drink of water because, you know, they're really struggling now, and then that makes the nerves go so much more higher. So it's really important to take the pause, breathe, go and take a sip of water. And then your audience has then taken in exactly what the messages that you have, and then they're ready for the next part. And you're ready for the next part. And everybody's just ready and waiting for what you have to say. So let's just recap my top 4 tips for you. So these are really super simple tips as well. Is that we get, number 1, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And then we want to develop new patterns. So break the habits of using these filler words. So record yourself, video yourself, or you could practice when you're practicing at home, practice in front of someone and get them to maybe tally up the filler words that you use, how many times you use them, and when you actually use them. So if you're using them at the end of a sentence, then even sometimes I say to people, if you've got notes, then just write the word pause or breathe inside your notes. And even sometimes you could have a bit of a little index card and hold it, and you might just write the word breathe. And this is just going to be a reminder for you just to breathe. Replace those pauses with your breath. And this will really allow you to become a lot more confident in your speaking. So I want you to write down, there's one of my filler words because I'm reading off my notes. I want you to write down every single one of your filler words on a bit of paper. You can do this later, you can do this now. And I want you to think of what's the one you use the most. Because what I want you to do is I don't want you to try and completely take out every single filler word the next time you speak, okay? Because that's probably just going to make you more uncomfortable, more nervous. So I want you to pick out the one you use the most, and next time you go to speak, reduce that by a couple, Okay, don't overthink it, don't make it really massive. Just think, okay, so I say in a couple of minute speech or a 5-minute speech, I say 20 times, right? Well, maybe think, well, I could reduce that to 15, or I could reduce that to 10, right? Because the moment we're going to put too much pressure on ourselves to suddenly take that out completely. So we want to just do it at little steps and celebrate those wins. So when I was learning how to do public speaking, I used to be, the ums and ahs and filler words actually filled up more than my content of my speech. That's how bad I was. And you know, I actually celebrated that because I thought that's not wrong, it's not bad. I'm at the beginning stages. And I used to make fun about it and say, like, everybody come and join me, you know, see if you can hit the mark of how many filler words I use. So then I just started to think, right, the next time I speak, I'm going to reduce it a little bit again, and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And then over time, then you've got that new pattern, that new habit of when you get up to talk, you probably won't use them. And you probably won't even think about them. Okay, so just one step at a time. Start reducing the most that you use, and then keep going with that, and then go to the next one and start reducing that. Okay, because that's going to be so much super easy to be able to manage. So let me know if that has been helpful for everybody, if that makes sense to everybody, and if that's something that you're going to give it a go next time you're speaking. Let me know in the comments. Hey, Edgar. Hey, Alyssa, Matilda. Just checking who else is on. Hey, Courtney. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if that has been really super helpful for you. Thanks, guys. And just remember, it is completely common to have those filler words, and just really just take it step by step, talk by talk, video by video, and really just start to reduce them and minimize them. And if you don't make it wrong, and don't go, oh God, I said even more filler words this time than I did before. You know, start making fun out of that and making it fun. Excellent, Fiona. Because there's nothing wrong with it, and it's just practice. It really is just practice over time. It might take a few weeks, it might take a few months. So just be really gentle on yourself, because when you're getting up for the first time and doing something, Rebecca's going to record herself. I know at my sister's wedding where I was able to do a speech without prep, I said a lot. Yes, thank you, Rebecca, because you've reminded me that was the other point I was going to say, is that when we do not prepare for something, that's when we use the filler words a lot more. And I know that I do it as well. If I haven't prepared, and generally could be doing Q&As, I probably would use it more. If I haven't prepped and we're doing questions and answers off the cuff, I would probably use them more. But that's the other thing, that if you haven't prepared enough, you're probably going to feel really nervous because you're winging it. So you're going to use filler words a lot more. So really practice and prepare for something coming up, because this will help you feel more confident, and you probably won't use them as much. So yeah, definitely record yourself. So this is something that I used to do in the early days to pick up body language, like little things that I would do with my feet or my arms. So again, you know, the filler words and the little things that you do with your hands or your body, when you record yourself and video it, you're going to really pick those up, because you probably are not aware that you do it. So definitely, yeah, record yourself. I know sometimes it's cringeworthy doing it, but honestly, it is the best. It's the best way to give yourself feedback as well. And if anybody does record themselves and they want a little bit of help with some feedback, then I'm more than happy if you send it to me in a message, or feel free to put it in the group, and I will give you some feedback on those filler words, and also maybe some tips as well around how to reduce them for next time as well. So I hope that's been super, super helpful for everybody. And again, so next week we'll have another, I might not actually be able to come on live next Monday. I'm going to be up in the sunny coast doing a presentation for USC, and I think at that point I will still be in the class or coming back in the car. So we might do it on the Tuesday instead next week. However, if you do have a burning question before next Monday, and I do have time, I might do a pre-recorded video and pop it in there for the Monday afternoon. All right, guys, I will see you all soon. Good luck with all your filler words, and write them down and start to become aware of them, and you will soon start to reduce those ones. All right, guys, have an amazing Monday evening wherever you are. Have a great Monday for everybody tuning in from the UK. Have an amazing Monday, whatever you're doing, and I will catch up with you all very soon. See you later.